Hello people of Earth, this is a video on American Girl doll tips. I decided to do this video because I have had dolls for 9 years of my life, and I just know a lot about them. I've been through a lot with my dolls. I know the do's and don'ts definitely because I've had a lot of negative and dangerous experience with my dolls. So I figured I'd make a video to help some people out with their doll care. So without further ado, let's get started. Tip number 1, do not get her eyes wet. Now, a lot of these tips are going to be pretty obvious, but this can be for beginners, this can be for people who might not know some things, and there are some pretty logical tips involved. They're not just the obvious, like don't chop your doll's head off or don't give your doll to a dog to chew on. Like, it's not stupid stuff like that. A lot of things are pretty logical and reasonable. So anyway, tip number 1 is not to get her eyes wet because the inner rim of their eyes are metal, and if you get their eyes wet, their eyes will not open and close anymore. Like when you lay her down, the one eye will remain open, or both eyes, whichever you get wet or whatever you get wet. So there's just a tip, be careful when you're using your spray bottle. If you're spraying her hair with water, don't get it in her eye. Like when you do that, maybe go like this with her eyes and cover them or whatever, something like that. But oh god, her hair. Just do not, by all means, do not get her eyes wet. Okay, tip number 2, do not use human hair products on your doll's hair, okay? My cousin did this before. She used her doll's hair was super frizzy, so she used anti-frizz serum on the bottom and hairspray on the top. Let me tell you, that was a total disaster. She had to take her doll to the hospital and get a whole new head for her doll. So guys, do not put human products in their hair. Just don't do it, okay? Tip number 3 is do not share a brush with your doll. Okay guys, I can't stress this enough. If you use a brush on your hair and then use it on your doll's hair, the oils from your hair are going to get into your doll's hair and her hair is going to become dry and disgusting. My cousin also did this. She would not bring a doll brush. She did own a nice doll brush by American Girl. Ooh, that was the wrong way. When she would pack for the shore, she would always bring her doll and she would not bring a brush. She would just use her brush. The doll's hair became an afro, and the doll had the same exact hair as Nicolette here, but the hair just became disgusting because the oils from her hair were getting into the doll's hair was starting to stink and everything else. It was a disaster. And I'm not saying her hair was dirty because it wasn't, but from her oil, the oil of her hair sitting in the doll's, it became really gross. And her mom, for whatever reason, would not let my cousin wash her doll's hair, and it had to be done. I mean, it was disgusting, but for whatever reason, she wasn't allowed to do it. So, yeah, do not always have a specific designated brush for your doll. Whether it be American Girl or not, make sure it's wire wig, and don't use your own brush on your doll's hair. Tip number 4 is do not leave an extreme hairstyle in your doll's hair for more than a week. This is probably a tip that you guys don't hear that often, but I'm going to share something with you. Nicolette here has a new head. Before I left this crazy hairstyle in her hair, it was like these weird cross braids. It was like a braided crown, and then I brought these pieces around, braided the crown, and I just kept braiding. It was just basically a bunch of mini braids. It was like dreadlocks that were like turned in because at the time I was obsessed with cosmetology and hair. So I was trying them out on Nicolette here. And I went to Disney World and I didn't bring Nicolette that time. That time I brought my doll, Janie, because I had brought Nicolette the previous year and I like to bring a different doll each time I go. So when I came back from Disney and I finally decided to take Nicolette's hair out, I had to go to drastic measures to get her hair back to the way it was, guys. Whatever you do, don't leave extreme hairstyles in your doll's hair for, I guess, unreasonable periods of time because your doll's hair will get messed up. and I never got it back to normal, honestly. I had to send her to the doll hospital with time because it just continued to get worse. And another tip, do not use these hair ties in your doll's hair. This metal rim here is death to your doll's hair. It'll just rip it, fray it, whatever. Use these kind of hair ties. They have no rim and they have a cloth around the band so it does not damage your doll's hair. But I forgot to mention, if you guys do want to curl your doll's hair, I recommend using the American Girl doll hair curlers. They work pretty well. The dolls don't have super tight curls, but they're really nice pretty waves, and they're pretty curly, but they turn wavy. I do recommend these. They do work. Okay, tip number 5 is do not wash her hair unless completely necessary, and do not get her wig wet. This here is her wig, and you don't want to get that part of her hair wet because I don't really see a need to wash up that high on her hair. But I actually am going to say this, and I hope some parents don't comment and kill me, but washing your doll's hair, I recommend it if her hair is dirty. Only if her hair is dirty. If her hair's not dirty, there's no need to wash her hair. If you want to wash her for fun, I don't recommend that. But if her hair needs a wash, I completely recommend washing it because once it's washed, all the dirt's out. It's clean and it has this very silky tone when you use conditioner. And I love the effect of washing a doll's hair when it's completely needed for the doll. Okay, tip number 6 is do not use heat on your doll's hair. Okay, I'm going to say this. You can use heat on your doll's hair, but I don't recommend it. When you use heat on your doll's hair, you have to wet a piece like so. Make sure it's away from her eyes. You have to like soak a piece of her hair, like soak it. Like I just did a few spritz, but you need to like get it very wet. And then with a straightener, you just go right over it once. You don't want to continue to go over it and over it and over it because her hair is going to get messed up, guys. And I'm telling you that from experience. I tried to straighten Nicolette's hair before and it burned off. So, and I totally never curled a doll's hair, so I totally don't recommend that. But straightening can be done. I also don't recommend that either because it was a disaster at points where I've tried to straighten my doll's hair. I burned her hair off somehow. So I would say it's not worth the risk. You just have to be really careful. Tip number 7 is to be gentle with your dolls, okay? I learned this the hard way. When I had first gotten Nicolette, I was very young. So I was not very gentle with her, and there were points where I would throw her off the trampoline I had down my shore house. I would take her to the park, throw her down the slides. I can't tell you something I haven't done with her. I've taken her places that she should not have been, like the beach, and I would just throw her in the sand. Like, it was just a disaster. And for all that happening, she's in wonderful condition. And she was in wonderful condition before I even sent her to the doll hospital. Honestly, her hair was just messed up and her eyebrow here was chipped. But other than that, she was good. And I learned how to tighten her limbs, and I've done that before. If you guys want a video on that, comment below. But point blank is to be gentle with your dolls. Her leg can fall off, her arm can fall off, and don't tell me it can't because it happened to my cousin, okay? My cousin was worse than me with her doll. Like, her arm actually had fallen off when she threw her doll. So just be gentle with them because they are very expensive, and on top of that, it's your doll. You wouldn't want your doll thrown around. It's especially if you buy it with your own money, guys. Just be gentle with your dolls no matter what you're doing. Even with photo shoots, a lot of older girls like me do like photo shoots with their dolls. You gotta watch where you take them, watch where you stand them. When I was taking a photo shoot with Nicolette and Janie, they almost blew into the bay and they would have been done. So just be gentle and be careful. Tip number 8 kind of goes a little bit into tip number 7, and it is keep her in a safe place. Okay, if you guys have younger siblings, younger cousins that visit you a lot, a dog, a cat, or whatever, things like that, you just want to keep your doll in a safe place. Like if you have brothers and sisters or cousins or whatever that come into your room and you just sit your doll on your bed. I wouldn't recommend that. If you know they're going to come in there, I would put her on a high shelf where your brother, sister, cousin, whatever can't reach, niece, nephew, I don't know, wherever they can't reach, because things can end badly. They can misuse them. And also, dogs like to chew on things. Dogs will eat anything, and cats will scratch at anything. So I would just keep them away from your animals. Keep them in a safe place when you're not using them. Tip number 9 here is, do not keep your doll in direct sunlight for a certain period of time. I once kept Nicolette in the car for like a week because I wasn't using her and I had left her in the car. And when I went back in the car, her whole head was squishy. I could totally squeeze it, and her arm was like melting almost. Like, it was really bad. Like, when I would touch it, it would like move like gel. It was really bad. So I had to go through drastic measures with that. I had to put her in the freezer. It was all I could think of to do. I don't recommend you guys doing that, but that's what I did. I put my doll in the freezer, and she was fine afterwards, but she could have gotten really messed up if I would have grabbed her arm. Her whole arm would have probably like gooed, and like, I don't even want to know. So guys, do not keep your dolls in direct sunlight for certain amounts of time, or really, really, really hot places like I did. And be very careful when you're doing photo shoots as well. And last but not least, we have tip number 10. And tip number 10 is to love her and take great care of her. Because whether you bought her, or a family member bought her for you, or a friend bought her for you, she is now yours. She is your property now, and money, a lot of money has been spent on this doll, and you just want to take great care of her. You want to love her, and, you know, just take great care of your doll, because they are super, super expensive. They're not cheap, and neither are their clothes, so keep them in a good place. All these tips also go to your doll property, and, you know, you just want to be very careful with your dolls and take great care of them and love, 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 love them. So thank you guys so much for watching. If you guys want more tips, feel free to comment and I will do more, because I could probably go on forever, but I didn't want this video to be too long. So I am very experienced with dolls, if I haven't mentioned that before. I've had them for 9 years. I know the do's and don'ts. So again, thank you guys for watching my video. If you have any comments, feel free to comment below. No nasty comments though. Thank you very much. Bye.